Welcome back to the Blue. Welcome back to the Blue Chip Breakdown, Vols fans. We just got done with the Citrus Bowl, and this is the post-game show. So, number one thing that everyone I already knows is going to be asking about is Nico. He was, I believe, 12 for 20. Let me make sure I'm right on that. Yeah, 12 for 20, which is 60.9%, 151 yards passing, 7.6 yards averaging per catch, and then one touchdown. And then he also had, 15 carries. Okay, so some of those are sacks, but 27 yards, and it says 1.8 per carry with 3 touchdowns. It was really a whole lot better than that, honestly speaking, because again, a lot of that was sacks. And to all those people who was like, oh man, Joe Milton this, Joe Milton that, offense is going to look so much better without him. We're seeing, even though, we had a banged up offensive line, it's the same offensive line that Joe Milton had for like the last 2 or 3 games of the season. And, we see that there is an issue right there in being able to pass protect. And I think that a large part of that is guys not being able to get separation down the football field on the outside. We've got some studs coming in, but everything, all that being said, I feel like Nico played great. I think he played well. P, what do you think?
Yeah, I think Nico played very well. He looked good. Didn't look like a freshman out there to me. Didn't really see him make too many mistakes. Couple times maybe in the pocket, his movement sat in the pocket or scrambled out a different way. But like you said, I mean, the O-line didn't really help him out a ton today. They held up well sometimes, but it was sometimes where he had no time to throw. But I think he looked really good, man. He made some good throws, had several drops. I mean, I can think of 2 or 3 perfect balls that he threw that were dropped, and then the deep ball to Mel Keaton, perfect throw on the outside shoulder. Mel Keaton stops running, should have been a touchdown, probably puts him over 200 yards, and has a pass touchdown to his stat line. But I think he looked good. You really see what the hype's all about, and you see him getting out of the pocket and using his legs. He's going to be a problem for a lot of SEC defenses for years to come.
Absolutely. So, I mean, obviously, again, kind of like a makeshift offensive line, kind of like a makeshift team in general. We talked about, hey, Nico's going to need some guys to help him. And obviously, it starts up front. We know that the offensive line is going to be a lot better next year. A lot of what we saw kind of giving up as far as sacks and pressure was from Dane Davis playing at that right tackle position. And also, I mean, Gerald Mincey playing at left tackle, who, will be slid back over to right tackle. And, Jackson Lampley seems like he kind of gave up some. We did see that holding penalty early on Ollie Lanes. Dylan Sampson. That was just one play, though. That was very, very early on. It was just one play where he did not look great in pass protection. But, for the most part, I think that he did pretty solid. But, obviously, once we got those other guys, those, other veterans that can come, and step in and step up for Nico next season, we should be good as far as pass protection. Now, kind of back to your point, Pete, with Dylan Sampson, he looked pretty good. I'm going to pull up the stats between him and Cam Seldon. I'm going to tell you right here, just off the rip, early on, I actually like Cam Seldon better in this game. Dylan Sampson went 20 carries for 133 yards, 6.7 yards per carry, no touchdowns. And then Cam Seldon had 13 carries. And what was that? 66 yards, I believe, 4.2 yards per carry. So, both of those guys, I think both of those guys are solid, but I'm almost, just at this point, it's very, very early on, but I'm almost kind of already starting to lean and say, hey, I kind of would not mind seeing Cam Seldon being that running back number 1 because he's got that bigger body. But, obviously, Iowa's got a completely different defense than what we're going to see most of the time in the SEC.
For sure, yeah. And I think, you kind of bring a good point. I think give Cam Seldon another offseason, get bigger, stronger, faster, understand football, understand the running back position a little more. He could potentially be a guy that you're saying, hey, he deserves more carries. But I think he played well. I think Sampson played well. I think Sampson really had some tough yardage, ran hard. This is supposed to be a pretty good Iowa defense. And, I mean, they played in the Big Ten. All they got to do is stop the run. And, they've been pretty good at stopping the run this year. And we were able to put up, Dylan Sampson himself went for over 130 on him. So really like what he did. 20 carries, really kind of had to carry the load. Probably more carries than we saw Jalen Wright get all season probably. So show that he can sustain for a full game. Can do in the SEC week in, week out. We'll see. Obviously, we expect to have Seldon and have Peyton Lewis and maybe Khalif Keefe and, Sean Bishop, some other guys get some carries to help with that load. But overall impressive with the rushing offense. Went for over 230 on those guys.
Yeah.
So, we kind of had our way. Could have put up more points, but we kind of just took what was there and we were going to run the ball at will. So, overall pleased with how the running backs performed today.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I just felt like it was a game where, we were dominant, but again, that outside presence, we know that we've got Chris Brazel coming in. We've got Mike Matthews, we've got Braylon Staley. Did get to kind of see Nathan Leacock towards the end of this football game. He didn't get the ball thrown to him, but at least he was out there. Ethan Davis. We are expecting to have some more dogs, some more studs on the outside, and not to get too far away from Nico, because I know that's what y'all want to hear about, but you have to look at the totality of an entire football team. Football is the ultimate team sport. It's not just about one player. One player will never make or break a team. This is not, like 1963 where, you know what I'm saying? Like you can have a stud that, most teams don't have. Everybody's got really good players. You have to have a very good football team. Nico definitely looks the part. Extremely proud of what he did out there today, especially given the circumstances and what he had to work with. I think that he played well. And, we just are anticipating that the guys that are going to be coming in, the coaching staff has targeted to come in and help Nico out, will be able to come in and help him out a lot next season. And that's what he needs. He needs some guys to be able to get that football to. He needs an offensive line that can hold up for him. But we do see that whenever he is under pressure, right, he's able to get up out of that pocket, right? He's able to make some plays. He dropped that dime down the field. I don't remember who that was to, but
the deep ball.
Yeah.
The one to Mel Keaton. Yeah.
Keaton. Oh, yeah,
Keaton
man.
Running, yeah.
I mean, no. Okay, so that one, yeah. So there was a pass that was wide open that he could have definitely, that one should have been a touchdown to Keaton. Keaton, for whatever reason, cuts his route off, but that's his last game in orange and white. And thank you for your services, Keaton. But seriously, I mean, I don't know what happened this last season. Was not great. Wasn't great for Joe Milton. Wasn't great necessarily for Nico either. But we are anticipating that next season we'll have some dogs that will not give up on the routes, that will go fight for the football, that won't be, dropping passes. And that is going to help. But that's not what I was talking about. There was one he kind of scrambled out to the outside, and he was able to hit a pass right there on the sidelines. And I think that actually was to Keaton as well.
Oh, yeah. I mentioned yep. LSD.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. Yeah. So that one was to Keaton. So, I mean, listen, guys, you're not going to hit on everything, but very, very proud of what this football team did. We haven't even talked about the defense.
Yeah,
but,
stars of the show. Defense, stars of the show, man. Went out there, shut those guys down. And, we knew Iowa wasn't going to do anything on offense, but I think defense played well. Like we talked about before the game, Elijah Herring showed up, made some good plays. You saw T-Lander show up. You saw Turntime show up, having to pick in the end zone, keep those guys off the board on that first, second series of the game. Overall defense played great, and, we expected them to. Like I said, very straightforward offense, not much to really stop. Just show up and play. You saw James Pierce getting some good pressure, and obviously with the pick six. So defense, man, keeping the goose egg. Anytime you put a goose egg up against another Power 5 opponent, you gotta love that. So very pleased with how they played today.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I love what we saw from the defense. We didn't really get to see a whole lot of those young guys.
Yeah.
We were kind of worried about Herring. We did see him get beat once on like a little, like bootleg. We kind of thought that could be an issue. But we are anticipating, not to kind of like show our hand too much too early, but we are anticipating over the offseason that the staff may ask him to kind of move to that defensive line, move to that front four, maybe more of an edge rusher. Doesn't do well in space necessarily. He did pretty good. I mean, he played a very solid game today, but that was, like you said, P, it's a straight up and down. We're going to run the football right at you type of a game. That's where he will thrive at the SEC. We all know it's not like that. It's going to be more kind of like the NFL, where you could see a lot of different things from a whole lot of teams that have got a whole lot of great playmakers. You've got to be prepared for everything. I just don't see him physically being able to, get to that level, honestly speaking. I don't think it's helping him. It's not helping his team. But we do have some more young guys that can step up right there at linebacker. Also saw Jalen Smith. I actually saw him out there too.
He looked good out there. Yeah. Made a couple plays late in that game. So, he's a guy we're also high on. We're high on really all those young linebackers.
Yeah.
So you would not be surprised if one of those guys steps up, kind of takes Elijah Herring's spot. We'll see if the staff has the guts to kind of demote him to second team. Obviously, Keenan Peely, I believe him and Keenan Peely play the same position. So I think he would be behind Peely. So Peely's starting, and then, maybe they let one of the young guys, T-Lander, Aaron Carter, Jalen Smith, heck, Evan Spivman, Jordan Burns, one of those guys start to the other position. But you know what? I'm not going to necessarily say that Herring can't get better over the offseason. Maybe he can.
He is still young.
He's still a young player.
He definitely can get better. That's
so, we'll see, after a full offseason, playing along Keenan Peely. Will he take that next step? But overall defense, man, very impressed how they played today.
For sure. So let's get back to Nico, right? Whenever you look at the other freshmen that played in bowl games, they kind of started off rocky. And, some of them had some pretty decent games. But Nico, to me, he looks the most ready. Like, he came out and looked like he was in command of the offense, like we already talked about. There was a couple of guys that really could have helped him out a whole lot more. We are anticipating that next season we will have more. Hopefully, Evan Stewart saw what Nico can do, and we can add him to this roster. Don't want to ever overlook a guy like Squirrel White, because Squirrel White is another dog. He has earned his, play in this offense, but we've got to have some depth. Okay, we've got to be able to rotate guys. Did not see as much rotation as we anticipated coming into this game, but next year you would, think that that's going to be what the game plan is. It would be nice to add a guy like Evan Stewart to that whole mix, but whenever you just look from top to bottom, man, Nico just looked like he knew what to do with the football. It looks like he belonged out there. Did not look like a true freshman by any means.
Yeah, at all, man. He just looks like a guy's ready to play. He's like we always call him. He's a gamer. He's a baller. Went out there, had 3 rushing touchdowns. I think 2 of those 3 were kind of ad-lib plays where he had to break the pocket and scramble and go create, and was able to get it done. I mean, he just looks good running the ball. Like you talked about pregame, doesn't look like he's going fast, but when you look at him in comparison to everybody else, he's running past guys. He just has those long strides, very smooth, and is what's the word? Deceptively elusive, deceptively strong, deceptively hard to tackle. And so, I mean, he's a guy, man. I think sky's the limit with this kid. I mean, he looked good up there, had some really, really good throws. I mean, we saw several throws. That's an NFL throw, from a true freshman. You know what I mean? So,
several times, like a whole lot of those deep outs, like whenever you got it, and it was effortless too. That's something, we talked about that in that tailgate show.
Yeah.
With looking at our young guys, whenever you're winning effortlessly, that's how you know that is blue chip caliber. That's that next level.
Yeah.
You're winning and you're not having to do a whole lot. And that's what we're seeing from Nico throwing these footballs. It's effortless. They're catchable footballs. Like we said, some guys kind of dropped them. Even with Nico, we said, some people said, Joe Milton's throwing it too hard. That's why they can't catch it. Wide receivers at this level, there ain't no such thing as throwing the ball too hard. You've got to be able to catch football. Like, you've got to. That's what you do.
I mean, hey, can you imagine a receiver come to the sideline? Coach, he threw it too hard.
Dude, hey, you know what?
You're done.
I don't know what you said next to me. I want you to go over there to that bench, stay there until this game's over with. And after we hit the showers, I want you to pack up all your stuff and get up off the roster. That is nowhere near.
Is not a valid.
Yeah, that is nowhere near valid. So, I'm glad that for the fan base, we're able to see that it wasn't just Joe Milton. You know what I'm saying? We were questioning, hey, is the offense going to look any better? Because this is going to be another question that people are going to be asking. Well, we didn't really throw the ball down the field that much. Nico's in, and people are going to be calling for Josh Heupel, Halsley, everybody else. It's not them. You have to have people to throw the football to.
Right.
Like, you're not just going to throw it down the field if there's no one to catch it. You've got to have people who you feel comfortable with going out and making.
And that kind of goes back to kind of thinking about last season. We didn't really give Jalen Hyatt the credit I think he deserved. Kind of just thought that maybe he was just kind of having a big year, but he actually was a special player. And some of you guys may have already kind of been aware of that, but he's actually a special player, and he was able to get open, create plays down the field. Obviously, having Sector Tillman on that staff, on that roster last year, Brew McCoy, those guys, we really didn't appreciate how good those receivers really were. Yeah. And then when Brew went down, obviously lost Hyatt and Tillman. Really, I have a Squirrel White, and next season we expect hopefully Dante Thornton steps up. We got Chris Brazel, we got Brew McCoy back, we got Squirrel White back, Mike Matthews. Hopefully these guys can step up and we can get back to that 2022 offense, but. Because I do think the receivers probably really were what helped this offense back.
Well, that's a very interesting point because whenever we talk about a guy like Jalen Hyatt, he had a case of the drops, something, that we've heard from a lot of the guys on this roster already, but he took a gigantic leap from 21 to 22. And then we've got guys like Chaz Nimrod, who we hope sticks around, Caleb Webb, who looked pretty good in this game as well. I think he might have had like a drop or two, but you hope that they take that next leap forward and that we can create some real competition in that room. That is going to mean a whole lot to Nico and, at the end of the day, to the success of this football team. You have got to have some guys on the outside that not only are capable of making the plays down the field, but are also capable of making those really tough catches in tight coverage, because we've got to play up against teams like Georgia that we know gets away with pass interference on almost every single play. Right. And if you look at the guys that they target, what are they doing? They're mugging guys at the line. I mean, it is beyond what is legal within the realm of what football actually is. So that's what their MO is, and it's going to continue to be that way. So we've got to have some dogs. And, we had it in 22. We didn't have it really too much in 23 outside of Squirrel White. Obviously Brew went down. So, we didn't really have a whole lot of that. But we are anticipating that in 24, we'll have several guys who can come in and do it at a very high level. That's going to help out Nico tremendously. Offensive line should be good. Would love to add another piece right there at left guard. Again, didn't really love what Minty did. I think he's a little bit banged up, but he's going to have to step it up even more, obviously coming into next season. Tight end should be good. Ethan Davis was another guy that we saw kind of come in late in this game, but he didn't really throw the football to him with Gaston Moore. And, he's going to be just fine. Holden Stays is going to be just fine. Who's going to be behind them? That's a great question. We'll probably get into this a little bit more in some later videos, but think that this offense might go to a little bit more 4 wide because we've only got 2 real tight ends that can play on this roster at this moment. I am anticipating personally, I'm sure you feel the exact same way, Pete, that we will be targeting some guys if they're out there in the transfer portal right after this game. Whenever those windows are opened up, they talk about the what's the word? They talk about, targeting guys or talking to guys before you are supposed to. I'm sure that we're going to be doing that. I mean, I hope that we're going to be doing that. Yeah. We've got to go out and get some more tight ends, but just because we need that depth of this offense. But I do anticipate that we could see more wide receivers being utilized, which is a big part of the reason I do think you can see a guy like Evan Stewart come in. Hey, Evan Stewart in the middle with Squirrel White right here, okay? Then you got Brew McCoy on the outside. Then you got Chris Brazel right here, Dante Thornton kind of backing these guys up. You still got Mike Matthews, still got Braylon Staley. Hey, throw a guy like Boo Carter out there.
Wow.
Dude. And then, we're talking about Dylan Sampson. We're talking about Cam Selden. Those are 2 guys that we know can get it done running the football, but also they can catch the ball out of the backfield.
Well, heck.
Yeah.
What if Dante Thornton takes the Jalen Hyatt leap from year 1 to year 2?
Wow.
And then let's just think about a package where it's Brew, it's him in the slot, and it's Chris Brazel on the other side. With a guy like Holden Stays or Ethan Davis, at the tight end, or like I said, 4 wides. Maybe it's Evan Stewart or Mike Matthews, Squirrel White, whoever else it is. But we have 3 guys, talk about 6'5" Jordan, Deontay Thornton, a 6'5" Chris Brazel, 6'3", 220 Brew McCoy. I mean, what matchup do you like as a defense? I think we got 3 guys that can win those one-on-ones. And, I mean, the potential of this offense next season is through the roof. I think Nico went out there today. And, I mean, to me, in my opinion, it's pretty much a perfect game. It wasn't a game where he necessarily lit up the stat board, didn't go for 450 yards to get the hype train overroll, and didn't have a terrible game. But to me, he showed that he is ready to play freaking SEC, high-level football.
Yeah.
I mean, he's ready to play. And I think give him a full offseason. You're the guy. All the reps are yours. Get your rapport. The whole deal. Let's get in the playbook. Learn how to read his defenses better. The whole deal. I mean, I think, whenever September, whatever that first game is, September, whatever it is, I think he will be ready to go. I think he'll have a big day. And, I mean, to me, heck, I'm ready to start the Daggum Heisman campaign for 2024. I'm ready to start.
Yeah. I'll just say this. I definitely think that he, as far as what we were looking for in this game, I feel like he lived up to that in a very big way. Now, that's just us watching it at first glance. We will watch it again later on tonight after the playoff games and everything, and we will have a film breakdown coming out. We may be able to open that up to the public, but it's probably going to be for members only. So if you would like to see that, make sure that you hit that join button right below this video. But we will be breaking down every single, everything with Nico. And, we're just going to keep it real. But, yeah, just off of that first glance, it does seem like he is most definitely capable of running this Josh Heupel offense the way that we want it to be run. But, again, whole caveat to that is you got to have some other pieces to it. Football, I cannot say this enough. It's not one person. It's not like basketball, where one person is 20% of all the, at least he's 20% of the production on a team, he or she. Football is not like that. It's not even like everybody has got to do their job. And if you want to be a championship team, which is something that Coach Heupel talked about, right? He said, hey, we know that the expectation here at Tennessee is to win championships.
Nico said it too.
Nico said it too. We all feel that. We've said that a lot of times on this channel. We're not talking about winning. We're not talking about being relevant. We're not talking about being good. We're talking about being dominant. We're talking about winning championships. That everything that we're talking about is geared towards that. So to be able to do that, you've got to be able to have 11 players on offense, defense, special teams doing their jobs at an elite level for it to work. And then you also have to have some luck thrown your way as well. You know, we saw that back in that 98 season, right? With Arkansas. In that Arkansas game, we was losing. That quarterback fumbles the ball. That was, I mean, and listen, I was praying. You know what I'm saying? I was like, please. I was sitting there praying. And I was like, yes, thank you, God. You know, and he fumbles the ball, or, you know, we're able to get it back, and then, you know, we're able to come back. But you have to have some luck. You know, same thing with this, with any team that you see inside the playoffs. They've had a whole lot of luck. So all that just to say, it's not as easy as some people think to be champions. It takes a whole lot of hard work, great players. The ball has to bounce your way. But we do feel like Nico is a guy that at the quarterback position is what we need. Now, what do we need outside of him? And do we have it? So
yeah, that's the question. We still got to continue to, you know, add pieces on the O-line. We're going to pretty much everybody come back next season, but we still need to continue to build depth there. You know, saw Ricky Gibson a little bit today. Saw him get beat early on. Seemed like he played pretty soft for the most part, but saw him get beat early on. Ended up being a drop, but he got beat on about 10-yard dig route. Need to continue to see who the safety is going to be. Is turn time a long time answer for you? He played a pretty good game today. Is he a long time answer against SEC caliber teams? You know, I think we need to continue to try to upgrade there. And then who's the guy next to Tank, or, you know, where Tank was? You assume Jacoby Thomas fills in there. You know, who's the other corner opposite Ricky Gibson? You assume it'd be Gerard McCoy coming in here. But
yeah,
you know, we have pieces coming in, and, you know, this team we saw today was such a, you could almost call it a shell of the team that we really, you know, really are. You know what I mean? A lot of guys are out, and a lot of guys next season that we'll have that will be in. So, you know, we were probably playing with, I mean, what are you going to call it? 75% of kind of full strength. I mean, we weren't even.
I wouldn't even call it that, but just because we've got so many young guys that, you know,
backup QB.
Yeah, I mean, we've got so many young guys that are going to grow exponentially from their freshman to sophomore season. Yeah, there's a whole lot of talk, you know, just amongst college coaches and people who, you know, are frequent with football in general, that they say, hey, from the first week to the second week, the team makes the biggest leap. Yeah. But I would say that from the first year to your second year, especially in college, it feels like to me you make the biggest leap right there. You know, you know, you really, I mean, just in so many different ways. I think that from the second to the third year, you may grow more mentally, or, you know, you should, but physically, you grow physically and mentally. You grow the most from your first year to your second year. We've got a whole lot of young guys that we are anticipating will grow tremendously, you know, over the offseason. Now, I don't want to look too much into this, but there was a play, I want to say it might have been special teams, where I did see Jordan Matthews look like he wasn't giving maximum effort. You have to question, is he going to be a guy that kind of jumps into that portal? Because you just talked about Ricky Gibson starting at corner, and then you talked about Jermod McCoy starting at the other side. There's a guy like Jordan Matthews want to jump into that portal. I hope not, because there's a place for him on this football team. We all know injuries happen, and, you know, again, we don't know who's going to start. He has every single chance to be able to go out. He's a good enough athlete. You know, he's got the size, got the length, prototype, everything that you want to be a starting corner, to be a starting star/nickel, safety, whatever. He's a very versatile athlete. Don't give up on this team, Jordan Matthews. Stick it out with us. You have a place here, okay? You have a place here. And, you know, we most definitely want you. We most definitely need you. So that's my message to him. If he is listening, or if his family, anybody who knows him listening, make sure that he does hear that from us, even though we're not on the staff. I'm sure they feel the exact same way.
Yeah, we like him a lot, man. You know, long, physical guy, has all the measurables you want in a DB. So hopefully he sticks around. Same with Christian Conyers. You know, he's the guy that wants this guy to stick around as well. You know, we have a decent amount of depth looking at next season. When you talk about the guys that are coming back, and, you know, Ricky Gibson, Jordan Matthews, Conyers, freaking Christian Harrison looked pretty good out there today. Yeah. And then the guys coming in, you talk about Jamar McCoy, you talk about Caleb Beasley, you talk about Boo Carter, you know, freaking Marcus Gurry. Like, we got guys coming in that we feel pretty good about as well. So there is depth, and it's going to be competitive. But, you know, if you're a guy that, you know, you know, that's not really what you want. You want a kind of a road where you say, hey, I'm the guy, no questions asked. Yeah. Then maybe this isn't the place for you.
Yeah.
We're going to compete there at that position.
Yeah, I mean, you have to ask yourself, do you even want those types of guys? Because if you want to win championships, there's got to be almost cutthroat competition, but it's got to also be, friendly, like you've got to love the guys, that you're working up against. And I think that this team kind of has that, but we'll see. I mean, obviously, we still got a few months out, before we have to worry about that too much.
Mm-hmm.
But it's going to be very interesting to see what this team wants to add, just based off of what we saw in this Citrus Bowl. But it was a big one. We did expect to come out and for the scoreboard to look the way that it did. And a lot of the Iowa fans said, well, what's going to happen, blah, 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 blah. If, Iowa somehow wins, that was wishful thinking. I know, like, as a fan of a team, a lot of times, you're going to speak with your heart, not really with your mind. And this one, we did a little bit of both, but we knew, you know what I'm saying? Like, this was one where it was pretty easy. We watched the film, we everything. We knew that this was a game that, and honestly speaking, Tennessee could have won this by a lot more than what we did. We were a lot better team than what the scoreboard showed.
And then, like you said, we're at probably less than 75%. We're close to 100% of our roster. But it's kind of looking back at the game. Things that I'm looking forward to kind of maybe seeing next season. We're going to continue to try to find somebody to replace Tyler Barron. Tyree West showed up today. Is that something?
He looked really good.
He looked good today. That's something we can expect to see from him on a week in, week out basis against SEC competition, because we didn't see it all season.
Man, that would be huge. If he takes that jump, that'd be so huge for this, because, in this era of NIL, you got to allocate money to certain positions. Not having to allocate so much to the strong side defensive end position would be huge. Yeah. So we're hoping that, in that film study, that the coaching staff says, oh, this is for real. Like, he's really doing this. And we don't have to really allocate the money there. We can spend it elsewhere. That's a huge load off for all of us as volunteer fans. So
that'd be huge.
Yeah.
So, he showed up, he flashed. Trying to think who else really flashed for us.
Yeah, I mean, out of the guys that are going to be coming back, obviously, I think that our tackles up front really look good. I mean, Big O. I don't really remember seeing too much of Simmons.
I saw him. I mean, he fly. I saw him. He kind of threw some guys around a couple times. Didn't make a play, but
well, that's what they do. Those guys. Most of the time they're not really going to be making those stat plays, but you want to see them throwing bodies, pushing body, like that kind of stuff, making a big wall at that line of scrimmage so that the linebackers and everybody else can come and make tackles. That's really what their job is. So. I think that was big.
I saw Jordan Thomas flash.
Jordan Thomas looked good today.
He played well.
Jordan Thomas looked good today. Absolutely.
And, like I said, this is an Iowa team. This is like the kind of the perfect team to go out there and play well against. You know what I mean? Like, they're just so vanilla and just so mediocre. Like, I mean, guys are going to look good. And that's why we're talking about Elijah Herring, some other guys for the game who said they'll probably look good today because of who they're playing against. So, take everything with a grain of salt. But I do think this team, I think it's a good confidence building kind of win for these guys, and a good game heading to the offseason to really get them, kind of boost them, propel them forward. To go
give them a whole lot of confidence going into next season. I think that this is a game that, for probably most of us, right? Like, if you watch this channel, we've talked about it, I think, enough where we're all on the same page, where we did fully expect to dominate in this game. But at the same time, you got to go out there and actually do it. The fact that we did, that is a, very positive sign going into 2024. And like we said, it's going to be a big confidence booster for these guys. A lot of times, if you do have the talent, and, especially if you're kind of an older guy, you've already been on campus, you've kind of seen everything moving, that confidence can help to kind of catapult you forward and really get you playing at a really high level. James Pierce, okay? Wow. You talked about earlier, that first and second year jump for him was incredible. See him get that pick six, dropping in the coverage from the Leo position, getting a sack as well. He could have been the player of the game, in all honesty. I think that Jordan Ross is a guy. We talked about this before this video, in that tailgate show, that Jordan Ross could potentially, now, he is going to be a true freshman, but he's got that same type of skill set, maybe even better. We've got Caleb Herring. We've got a whole lot of guys there. So, we should all be very excited about what's coming forward. The next big thing for us is going to be January the 4th, I believe. All-star games. Taking a look at what these guys look like in some game time situations versus some other blue chip players. We are monitoring what they look like in practice very closely. We will have some breakdowns coming up, for everybody. Just kind of talking about what we're seeing. But yeah, these young guys look good coming in for the 2023 class. But we are at 5:00. We've got to get to the Rose Bowl game. This is a game that, what did I say, Pete?
You said Bama's going to blow.
I said Bama's about to go out here and roll. I'm not cheering for it. I'm not happy. But, yeah, I'm just letting y'all know before the game starts so that we got the receipts, huh?
That's probably what's going to happen. I mean, most likely. We'll see. But I got Michigan, but, I mean, it's probably going to be Bama. I'll honestly be surprised, but I'm picking Michigan. I got a feeling they're going to pull it out somehow. Yeah,
so we're going to see, so we're going to watch this one, then we're going to watch the Sugar Bowl, but we're going to get back to the festivities. I hope everyone is very, very excited. We are extremely excited. I talked to you about it, P. Barely slept last night because I was so excited to see these young guys go out here and perform, especially Nico. Yeah. And for me, and I think I can speak for both of us, for us, he lived up to the billing. So I hope that y'all, enjoyed all that. I hope that y'all enjoyed this video, but we are going to get back to the festivities, to the football playoffs and everything else. We will be back here shortly with some more content. Please make sure, if you're not already, a member of the channel, please do consider joining, clicking that join button just below. That is a great way to support us, as we continue to try to grow this channel. And as we continue to try to make the push to be able to do this full time, that helps us out tremendously, probably more than anything else. But as always, make sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and we'll see y'all in the next one. Thanks. Peace.